G'day fellas, how you going? Now, attending a cosplay convention, everyone's had experiences observing or dealing with some interesting people. You know, the ones who are a bit odd, the ones who make us feel a bit uncomfortable, the ones we prefer not to really talk to very much or hang around. You know the ones I'm talking about. Now, the truth is, a majority of us are not creepy. You know, some of us might be on the creepy side of the spectrum, but most of us, we're just a little bit awkward sometimes. You know, we do things or we act in particular ways that we don't usually do because we're excited or we're nervous about something. But the good news is, if you can identify what these things are and you can modify these behaviours or actions slightly, you can go from that odd, awkward, creepy kind of fellow to the fun, sociable, cool person that you'd love to run into at a convention. So today, I'm going to go over the 5 particular things that you need to look out for that might make you a bit of a convention creep. And if any of these signs are pointing to you, don't worry, we'll also be discussing some things that you can try that might really help you out. Sound good? Let's go. Now, the signs that we'll be discussing today, we'll go through the typical conversation that you might have with a cosplayer at a convention, and each sign will be more important than the last, so be sure to stick around to the end of the video. Now, the first sign that might indicate that you're a little bit of an oddball at a convention is that you roleplay when you first meet somebody, and you treat them as if they're the character that they're actually cosplaying. Wait, princess! I'll save you from Ganondorf! Yugimoto, it's time for us to duel! So, Asuka, have you told Shinji to get in the robot yet? Now, maybe you're just out to have a bit of fun and you talk to cosplayers as if they're the real thing. This can be fun for some people, but for a majority of cosplayers, they really just want to be treated and spoken to like regular people. So save the witty lines and sword fight challenges for your friends, and instead just offer a simple greeting. Now, say you're pretty okay with approaching cosplayers at a convention, it's pretty common to ask for a photo. But the second sign that you might be a tad creepy is that you become a little bit grabby in photos. Now, putting your arm around someone to pose for a photo is absolutely normal. I mean, it gives a sense of closeness and familiarity, and it's like the two people in the photo actually intend to take the photo together. I mean, without it, you're practically two separate people who happen to be in the same picture together. Now, the biggest issue typically occurs when one of the members posing in the photo becomes a bit more physical than the other party is comfortable with. Posing for a photo isn't like a firm grip of a handshake, it's more of a gentle pat. I mean, you're not taking photos with somebody that you're close to, so treating a cosplayer that you just met as your best friend can come off as a bit creepy. As a general rule of thumb, you shouldn't be so overbearing that they're pulled towards you, or so hesitant that you kind of hove-hand. Just a gentle pat. But if you're unsure, you can always find other ways to pose. So you've introduced yourself, you've taken a photo, and you've started talking for a bit. And sometimes you're going to have a lot to talk about, and sometimes you won't. But this is where creepy sign number 3 becomes all too common. Not knowing when to leave the conversation. You know, maybe there's a lull in the conversation, maybe the conversation's become one-sided, but hanging around in a dead conversation can be nothing short of a little bit awkward. And hey, sometimes it can be a bit difficult for a cosplayer to leave a conversation without seeming rude, or maybe they want to keep looking around that part of the con, or maybe they're stuck in a line for something that they've been lining up for when you came to ask them for a photo. But if they're not interested in talking anymore, how can you actually tell? It's all about body language. You know, if the conversation is interesting and engaging, there'll be eye contact, their body will be facing towards you, they'll be adding to the conversation, they'll be asking you questions. But if the conversation is no longer interesting or engaging, they'll do the exact opposite. They'll start to look away, they'll turn to face the other direction, they'll start to talk to their friends, they'll look at their phone, they won't really engage with the conversation, they'll just smile and nod at the things that you say. And if these things start to happen, take that as a gentle hint as your cue to exit. So those are 3 simple signs to look out for to avoid looking creepy. But now we're going to move on to the last 2 steps, which are often the most overlooked and the most important ones that you need to be aware of. Now, these usually occur after meeting somebody where you've had a fun interaction, an interesting conversation, and you found out a little bit more about them. You know, they seem like a cool person and maybe you'd like to become friends and get to know them a bit better. But in your eagerness to make friends, you can sometimes also come across as a little bit needy and a little bit awkward. And this brings us to sign number 4 that you might be a convention creep. You invite yourself to join in the plans of other people. You know, it could be that you've met a whole bunch of new people who are a lot of fun and you get along great, or maybe you've genuinely made a new friends and you'd like to get to know them a bit better. But somewhere along the line, maybe towards the end of the conversation, they might mention something like, "Oh, I'm heading off to do some shopping now." "Oh, we're heading off to dinner." "Oh, we're gonna go watch that panel now." "Oh, I'm heading off to do a photo shoot." "I'll catch you later." Whatever the case is, they've made plans, they have activities they want to do, which was organised by them. And unless they actually ask, "Did you want to join us?" or "Did you want to come along?" inviting yourself or just tagging along without asking can be a little bit rude and it can make things a little bit awkward. You know, as casual as it might be, or as harmless as it might seem for just having one extra person to tag along, there could be any number of reasons that you weren't invited to join them. They might have had a private booking at a restaurant with a certain number of places available, they might have been meeting up with an old friend, or maybe they just wanted to have a private conversation with one of their mates. Now, not being invited to something doesn't mean they don't like you, but try and avoid inviting yourself out to join in other people's plans. Now, at this point, some people might be thinking, I wasn't really invited to join them in what they're doing, but I don't really have anything else better to do right now myself, so I might as well just check out what they find interesting, right? Now, this is the most important sign to look out for that might indicate that you're a bit of a convention creep, which is sign number 5. You're a bit of an orbiter. Now, just like the planets in our solar system orbit around the sun, an orbiter is someone who kind of just hangs around a particular person or a particular group of people. The mindset typically goes a bit something like you meet them at the convention, you take some photos, have a great conversation, you have some fun with each other, and you think you'd like to hang out with them more and get to know them a little bit better. And although you weren't explicitly invited to join them in their convention escapades, you haven't really met anyone else at the con that you'd like to hang out with. And since you kind of know these people, it's kind of okay to hang around them and do the same things that they do, right? Don't be an orbiter. Like I said before, just because you meet somebody and they don't invite you to join them, it doesn't mean they don't like you, they just might have other plans already. I mean, if you want to keep in touch with new friends that you just met, but maybe they've already got plans already, try exchange details, maybe make plans to hang out again another time. In the meantime, there's no need to orbit around, hang out with your own friends, go talk to some new people, or even just enjoy the convention by yourself. If you find yourself giving off any of these 5 signs, you're probably giving off the vibe that you're a little bit creepy. Now, it might take a little bit of practice or a little bit of time to become a bit more aware of these things. But keep in mind some of the tips that we mentioned in today's video, and hopefully it'll show off to everyone the amazing person that you really are. G'day fellas, thanks so much again for watching this video. Had a few conventions over the last few weekends, so it feels like it's been quite some time since I've done something like this. Anyway, in the comments below, let me know what is the creepiest convention experience that you can recall. And again, thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate you, really appreciate the support, and I will see you in another video next week. Bye.